Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's your boy Barlow be theorizing, and welcome back to the Barlow Zone, home of the one and only demon hunter King Kaido, himself sent to Azeroth. How's everybody doing today? I hope y'all feeling good because, man, I finally figured out something to think about during the off week, right? And of course, it had to come just days before the spoilers dropped. I did read the spoilers. I wanted to make sure what I was talking about today wasn't going to be any kind of spoiler for anybody. So don't be alarmed there. This video has almost nothing to do with spoilers unless some future reveal retroactively makes this a spoiler video. It shouldn't though. Anyway, as I mentioned in my last video, I've kind of been struggling, what to talk about this week because having an off week is especially for a smaller channel kind of a struggle sometimes because you don't have fresh content to talk about. You don't have a lot of audience interaction to know what people want to listen to or interact about, so you're kind of just left there wondering, hey, what do I think sounds good to talk about or think about, right? And man, what I landed on, because y'all might remember, I've been pretty excited about getting back to Elbaf proper, right? Like, there's a lot going on there that has yet to be answered. Like, we're getting some clues through this flashback, but very little answers as far as what's going on Elbaf and what is to come on Elbaf. So I wanted to go back and remind myself of everything that was going on, and almost immediately, like at the beginning, I ran into, what was it, chapter 1138. I ran into that mural and Robin reading the HARLEY text in the Owl Library, right? And I got to thinking, looking at that mural some more, and really thinking about each world in depth, right? Because it's cryptic even by conspiracy theorist standards. Like, there's not a lot to work with here. And at the risk of sounding like a conspiracy theorist, I had some ideas on that I kind of wanted to talk about, because I almost came up with a little theory about each of the eras, each of the ages, each of the worlds, depending on how your region or area translates it, right? The first, second, and third era. I kind of came to some ideas. I'm not really sure, because when 1138 came out, yeah, it was the big thing at the time. I think I watched Matt and Liam's video. That was long before I really decided I wanted to be here regularly, just for myself, doing my own thing. So I'm not sure. I am kind of hoping that some other people may have already talked about this. At worst, maybe I'll bring some of this stuff back to your minds, because I do think we're within 5 chapters of the end of this flashback. So I feel confident in saying we should be expecting to be back on Elbaf proper before the end of this year. So I kind of wanted to go over some of it because, as I mentioned, I found some of it interesting. And we'll go ahead and go in order. We'll start with the first area, or first area, first era, first age. I'll probably refer to them as ages, or yeah, probably ages. I like that term better myself personally. So channel choice, I'm going to be calling them ages, not worlds or eras. So I'll start with the first age. And I don't really anticipate a lot of pushback on this, but I do see the first age as a pre-Void Century version of the world, right? The little image we got, because it's one panel, right? Like, it's a big, I'm not sure, I can't remember how it was in the magazine, but like a good half-page giant big old panel, right? And they did all 3 worlds on the one panel. So the little bit of artwork, I guess, that we have, that is kind of seems like it was intended to be alongside that first era, first age. Wow, I guess I am going to be pretty inconsistent with that. I'm sorry. I'm going to try and make sure I refer to them as the same thing. But it seems like the art pertaining to that first age is kind of depicting, I mean, not only an advanced civilization, at least compared to what a lot of civilizations on planet Blue currently are, right? Like you got the tall buildings, windowed, seem like there's lights maybe, you got steam power working. Uh like it seemed like it was pretty advanced. But the what was it? I think we finally have an answer for what Eni's lobby is. Now, I'm going to get to that in a little more depth during the second age part of this, but during the pre-Void Century era, I guess, right, the humans found what I'll refer to as the realm of the gods. Now, sure, it could have been one of the moons, just as likely to be one of the moons as anywhere else that I might be able to theorize. And I fully admit that. So if that's where you think the realm of the gods was, then I've got nothing to say against it. Like, hey, makes just as much sense as my theory that the humans found the realm of the gods within the planet. And when they did, they began stealing the powers from those gods, which would go on to become the devil fruits. Now, I don't think this is when the devil fruits came into being, right? I just think this is when the humans discovered that there was power beyond themselves, and in their greed decided, hey, you know what? I could do just as much good with that power if I had it myself, so why not had it myself? And some of the humans started taking. Now, it also mentions the slaves began praying, right? So we can kind of take away that slavery was a thing. Now, this could have been before the humans found this realm of the gods. It could have been in response to finding it, right? They're all, oh, hey, you know, that's pretty deep. I might fall and die. I don't really want to go get it to myself, so I'm going to make this fool go get it for me. And kind of creating slavery to mine this power from the gods. I want to say for better or for worse, but there ain't no better about it. And the slaves started praying for salvation. They don't want to do this. Potentially even some within the non-slave community were opposed to the idea of stealing the power from the gods. Hey, so what? We found where they like to hang out. That doesn't give us the right to go take what's theirs. So the slaves began to pray, right? And Joy Boy appeared. Now, wow, I did that backwards, yes. I am going to argue real quick that Nika is Joy Boy. Not that Joy Boy was the first wielder of the power of the Hito Hito no Mi model Nika. I am arguing that Joy Boy was Nika himself. When the slaves started praying, Joy Boy appeared. Because I think there's been allusions to maybe one-off statements here or there about Joy Boy being connected to the ancient kingdom. But I am pretty sure we've never gotten confirmation that Joy Boy was born in the ancient kingdom. We just know he operated during that time. So I pitch that Joy Boy is Nika, the original, the sun god himself. And the slaves' prayers calling out to Nika, or I guess probably not even calling out to Nika specifically, just calling out for salvation, somebody to come save them, right? And Joy Boy appeared. The sun god came down like, okay, no, you know what, fam, y'all are right. You don't deserve this, and my people don't deserve to be massacred and have their power stolen. So I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna get involved. And what was it? The earth god raged, I believe, was the end of the first age, right? The earth god raged, and with its serpent of hellfire shrouded the world in death and darkness, something like that, right? And I'm gonna pitch that is Emu, not the original Emu or whatever. The Emu themselves is from pre-Void Century time and is one of the original actual gods of planet Blue. And he was the Earth God. He was, or he, I, as far as the gender of Emu, I'm not really sure. I'm also not convinced it matters. I feel like it's because I'm a male myself. When I'm referring to Emu, it's just kind of first nature to refer to them as him. I'll try to make sure I don't, because we don't know. It could be a woman just as easily as it could be a man. Sorry, I had a little case of the hiccups there. But Emu was the Earth God that got mad, like, hey, son boy, you weren't supposed to be here. That's not the deal. Like, yeah, I saw what they were doing and I decided to do something with it. It's not your job to come down here or up here, whatever the case may have been. Like, it could have just been the whatever the humans found was just like a little hangout vacation spot for the gods. It could be like that's where the gods actually lived in other places, or just one little faction of the gods of Planet Blue, right? Whatever it was, like it could be it within the Earth and in the moons. Like everybody could be correct on where they come from, right? But Emu ended up getting mad, talking about, hey, son boy, you weren't supposed to be here. Called in his serpent of hellfire and created the red line, the ultimate separation of the world. Oddly enough, if you look at the planet, looking at the red line, it's two D's, just got one D and then backwards other D. It makes up circle, which, speaking of, leads me into the second age, right? And I feel like that's probably going to be the one thing that was most confusing or most difficult to try to interpret, right? Interpret. Wow, I had so much trouble saying that word. But the whole bit about the people of the half moon dreamed and the people of the moon dreamed, right? Like now, it seems pretty clear that the people of the half moon are the D clan, right? Half a circle makes up a D. Now, is the people of the moon the O clan? Or is the people of the moon the faction of these gods that is from the moon? Like that part of the phrase, people of the moon, is actually just referring to people who reside on one of the many moons of Planet Blue. And I think that, the simple answer, Occam's razor, is a thing for a reason, right? And I really feel like, yeah, we could argue that the people of the moon are the D clan as a whole, because there's currently this idea that there are two separate factions within the D clan. And that's why there seems to be such a divide between the dreams of Teach and the dreams of Luffy. I feel like the people of the moon is just literally referring to people that live on one of the moons, because we do know there are civilizations on some of those moons. They just kind of haven't been relevant up till this point in the story for whatever reason, outside of the Birkins, who Enel ended up running into when he left and went to the moon. So I just wanted to get that one out of the way real quick, because the second age is probably the one I've got the most notes on, because this is the Void Century. And I really wanted to take time to do my best to interpret every word within the paragraph that we got about the second age. Because, as I said, I am convinced that this age is also telling us about the Void Century. So the forest god tamed the demons, right? Now, this is what I said. I'm gonna refer back to Enies Lobby at this point, because I do believe that the humans found an Adam tree when they went into the depths of the planet. And to be clear, because I'm not sure if it's going to come up naturally during the rest of this little bit, I am insinuating that Enies Lobby was an intentional hole dug by the humans as a mining operation. And in that operation, they ended up discovering this realm of the gods of sorts, right? And that's where they started harvesting the power from. Now, in the second age, it mentions specifically the forest god tamed the demons, right? Now, what do I mean by demons? Because I've been saying that the humans were going down there and stealing the power of the gods, but humans die. We have a finite amount of life within us, and at some point, it's inevitable. It's the one guaranteed thing in life, and it's kind of what makes life worth living, right? You know, not being almighty, not being immortal, not being powerful beyond belief, and still doing something with your life, right? Still making a name and getting out there, achieving a dream, chasing a dream, having goals for yourself. Like, that's what makes the gift of humanity beautiful in a lot of ways. So when the humans died who had these powers, I'm saying that that is when the powers became demonic, and the forest god decided to start harvesting that power that now had nowhere to go. The god was dead who it belonged to. So the forest god started saving this power on the Adam tree at the bottom of the pit under Enni's lobby. And that is when devil fruits came into being. Now all of a sudden, this tree down here in this realm of the gods area, we call it a little Garden of Eden, little Adam tree within this little Garden of Eden, now is nurturing and caring for all of the powers of these fallen gods. And that is kind of what I'm theorizing is not only underneath Enni's lobby, which would have been created before the Void Century, but this is also the origin of devil fruits. The Adam tree that bore the original devil fruits is at the bottom of Enni's lobby. Now, in the HARLEY text, because I imagine there wasn't text on the mural, the little text bits we got were probably just the pages that Robin was reading from the HARLEY text. But in the HARLEY text, it mentions the sun spread the flames of war. Now, I believe this is referring to Davy D. Jones killing Nika, killing Joy Boy, and taking the sun god's power for himself. Because we also know that during the second age is when the humans killed the sun and became gods. So, during the second age, Davy D. Jones and his, I'll call it hubris, because that's kind of what the Davy clan has been pitched as. You got the legendary first pirate, you got Zebek, and you got Teach, the three confirmed members that we have from the Davy clan. And they're all kind of full of themselves and ego-driven. I mean, except for Jones, we don't know a lot about Davy D. Jones, the legendary pirate. Except for that he's the first pirate, right? And now that kind of throws a wrench in my idea, because Joy Boy was also called the first pirate when he was first introduced and referred to. But I think we can have these two be different individuals and still hold that same epithet as the first pirate, because Joy Boy was Nika. So when Davy D. Jones killed Nika, Joy Boy, however you want to call him right now, and took the powers of Nika for himself, this is a Zoan devil fruit. We know that the will of the original owner remains. Like, not kinda, nothing. It's, this devil fruit has a will of its own. It is just as much a part of what's going on as you are. So when Davy D. Jones took that power of Nika for himself, he became Joy Boy. Not just in name, but maybe even his appearance changed a little bit. So when people called Davy D. Jones the first pirate, and they called Joy Boy the first pirate, to them, they're talking about the same person. They're talking about Davy D. Jones is Joy Boy, and they were both the first pirate. But because of the HARLEY text, and, you know, I guess I am assuming I'm right here, so I'll be clear about that. I could very well be wrong, and this will all blow up in my face. Y'all can have a little laugh at Barlow. But because of the HARLEY text and my belief that Joy Boy is Nika, we can have both of these individuals be called the first pirate and both statements be factually true. Now, the second age text also mentions the sea god raged. Now, I am going to pitch that the sea god is the Seiryu, not only because there's no direct ties to the Seiryu, at least in my research and studies. There aren't any direct ties to the Seiryu being a god of the sea. It has some domain over the elements of water, in the sense that I believe in the Japanese version of the Seiryu, because it's also a Chinese mythological creature. In the Japanese version, it does have domain over rain. But because the Ryujin is also a dragon-like, like a serpent-like, dragon-like creature, is a god of the sea, I am kind of theorizing that in One Piece, the Ryujin and the Seiryu are both represented by this devil fruit, by this power. And oops, I spoiled myself again. Because that's kind of my theory here, right? On God Valley, when Kaido was about to die and Big Mom force-fed him that devil fruit. Now, to be clear, in case anybody only has reference to God Valley from the current flashback, this is information we learned way back, I believe on Wano, about Big Mom saving Kaido's life by feeding him the Ua Ua no Mi model Seiryu. So when Kaido ate that devil fruit, right, he's still left with the dream and ambition of being Joy Boy, being the one that would bring the change to the world that the world needed. But as I mentioned in my video talking about Kaido, well, talking about my belief that he is coming back, I mentioned that at some point in Kaido's journey, he realized he could never be Joy Boy. Unbeknownst to him, that's because he ate the Seiryu devil fruit. Now, I also think it's interesting that after realizing he could never be Joy Boy, Kaido also decided to become a gatekeeper of Joy Boy. He was going to sit somewhere he knew Joy Boy would have to get through to make sure he could meet Joy Boy, right? Make sure he could meet Nika. And that seems kind of weird. Like, I don't know. I guess it's possible, human beliefs, although Kaido is Oni, and that's kind of throws a wrench in all of that. But in human beliefs, it would kind of make sense for you to chase a dream just to realize, like, oh, I guess it's never going to be me. It's going to be this other fool I never met. And you kind of want to meet him. Like, what's the difference? Why are you the one and I couldn't be? That kind of tracks. But I also think that it makes sense that Kaido decided to become a gatekeeper for Nika, because the Seiryu itself wanted to be back in the presence and company of his old friend Nika. Because the part where it mentions the sea god Storm was the end of that second age text block, right? After we found out that the humans killed the sun and became gods themselves, then the sea god raged and stormed. Storms allude to rain, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, there's some thunder and other stuff in there too. But yeah, that's just the things I found really interesting, and some ties to the story that, and again, I mentioned in the beginning, some people may have already mentioned this. I haven't heard it. I should probably be better about checking out some other smaller creators, seeing if they're talking about this stuff I want to talk about too, because that'd be awesome. Support another small creator, share their ideas, make sure I'm not trying to take them as my own, if they are. But that brings us to the third age, right? Which obviously would be current events. Now, I don't believe the mural itself is depicting from the beginning of the age on. I think the mural itself is only depicting this final war that's on the horizon. But I do believe the third age began shortly after Davy Jones killed Nika and stole the power of the sun god for himself. They also talk about the inconvenient remnants, right? Now, this could simply just be referring to the D clan, the stories shared among the slaves of the liberator god, and remnants of the buccaneer race. Any of those old races, maybe some Lunarians. Elbaf believes, well, maybe some giants, because we do know that some giants also see Nika as the destroyer. But they also got mention of the sun god dancing and laughing, leading the world into its end. That seems pretty obvious. I don't know. I feel like I'm brushing broad strokes over the third age, because this one seems really, really clear cut that it's referring to events that have happened in the story or leading up to the story, like immediately leading up to the story. Not dating back 800-900 years. But it does also mention that after the sun falls, after the sun brings the destruction of the world, the sun rises again, kind of implying that Luffy may be leading the world down a path of destruction, but there's hope that after the destruction, there's going to be a new dawn of freedom and liberation, and preferably, hopefully not slavery. God, the story needs to be done with this, man. It's just odd that it's been the one consistent throughout any era of the world that we've heard about, right? But anyway, those were just my ideas, the stuff I've been thinking about the last few days. It's been fun this off week, having an off week where I was also doing the content thing. So let me know what you guys think. Was there anything here that you haven't heard before? Was there anything I may have said in a different way that got you thinking new about an old idea? Feel free to let me know in the comments. As always, if a YouTube comment isn't enough for you, feel free to join me in the Discord community, the Barlow Zone. And you can find me on my socials, X and Tumblr at BarlowBTheorize, and I'll have links for all of that in the description below. And as always, I hope y'all have an amazing day. Much love, friends.